In this video, we'll talk about the raging tech war between China and the US. It's all about wars without guns these days. Well, not exactly, but you get the idea. As usual, the US and China continue to act like two sisters having a brawl over a date with a quarterback, while the rest of the world watches how that affects their countries. Let's see what this latest ban on China is about. First up, the high-tech trade war continues between US and China. We'll have to accept the fact that AI is the future. It's everywhere and will probably take over the world one day. So powerful countries want to be the first to have control over them. And so, America did what it does best, told manufacturers to stop their supplies to China. Reports confirm that two of the top chip-making companies in America have been ordered to stop selling technology to China that may be used for boosting artificial intelligence. The United States of America thinks that if the second largest economy in the world receives such technology, it might end up as what's called a military end user. Not that America isn't doing the same thing, but don't we all get rid of competition that way? Anyways, AMD and Nvidia have been ordered by the US government to completely halt exports of a certain high-performing AI chips to China due to a potential risk associated with the product. Chip designer Nvidia explained to the media that if they follow through with the move and stop exporting two top computing chips for AI work in China, that will devastate the country's ability to work with advanced technology. This would include having difficulties with technologies like image recognition. Only hours after the announcement came, shares of Nvidia's rival company, Advanced Micro Devices Inc., fell by 3.7%. The companies had received new license requirements from the government, which banned the companies from exporting their MI250 AI chips to China. AMD thinks that the new regulations will not affect their business or its MI100 chips. Up next, the US curbs Nvidia sales of AI chips to China. It doesn't come as a shock that the US is reviewing its policies related to China amidst the recent tension the two countries were in due to Taiwan. But it looks like the US is taking the aggressive approach and ensuring that advanced technologies don't fall into the wrong hands. The US Department of Commerce didn't give any much detail about the new ban or the criteria for the AI chips exports, but they're strong in their approach to being the guardians of all technologies. A spokesperson spoke to Reuters and stated that the US government would take all necessary actions to protect US national security and foreign policies. Without chips from these companies, it would be difficult for China to use advanced technologies such as speech and image recognition. Apart from consumer use, these technologies are also important for military use, such as filtering digital communications to gather intelligence or scouring satellite imagery. In any way, this ban will further increase the tension between the two nations, but thank God there's still no ban on Asian characters playing themselves in Hollywood movies. The move will restrict Nvidia's H100 and A100 integrated circuits and can cause the company $400 million worth of business loss. The amount sums up the potential sales that the California-based tech giants make to China, and immediately after the announcement, Nvidia's shares tumbled 6.6%. Nvidia said in a statement issued to CNN Business that the company is currently working to satisfy their Chinese customers for their planned and future purchases with alternative products. Well, only time will tell what China will be satisfied with, and it won't be with this new row with the United States. But one thing's for sure, these new rules mean increased tech tension between the superpowers. Coming up, China continues to attack U.S. CHIPS Act. The United States recently put forward a new act that gives mouth-watering subsidies of up to $53 billion for semiconductor investments on American soil. This means that if semiconductors are manufactured in America, then there'll be great benefits. So, what does that do to the big players in the semiconductor business? But China is not going to sit and let this happen, and they're planning to counter the U.S. CHIPS and Science Act. The China Chamber of International Commerce and the China Council for the Promotion of International Trade have joined the Chinese government and state media voices to condemn the CHIPS Act. But who would really get hurt with this act? Of course, this hurts the global semiconductor supply chain and chip companies. What's more, some clauses in the CHIPS Act are solely to isolate China in the global chip market, such as preventing U.S. subsidy recipients from using these funds to expand manufacturing, especially advanced semiconductors, to countries like China. The Biden administration is also pouring billions in research into advanced quantum computing and artificial intelligence technologies, all of the sectors which China has marked as national priorities. The thing is that China should come up with a solid countermeasure rather than just putting their complaints out there. They should put forward effective strategies to counter U.S. attempts to put back China's advancement in semiconductors. The United States is entering into a tech war with a Thanos-sized chip, where they're also inviting allies like South Korea, Taiwan, and Japan to join their Chip 4 alliance. all of the countries that are top manufacturers of semiconductors. Next up, the air of tension clears as U.S. softens restrictions on China. The chip-making giant Nvidia was told recently by the U.S. government to halt their exports of certain chips to China, but in a recent turn of events, Nvidia has confirmed that the U.S. government has allowed it to continue developing its H100 AI chip in China. The relief comes after the company warned the government that these restrictions could jeopardize its operations in the country. The company's stocks went into a free fall after the restriction, but Nvidia said in a recent filing that the U.S. government had authorized in-country transfers, re-exports, and exports to continue the company's development of H1000 integrated circuits. It seems that the Biden administration is doing everything in its power to limit China's reach to advanced technologies so that they can't use them for military purposes. China has yet to respond to the ban and might use the same tactics to get back at the Americans. Related news. Moving on, China and India come to Russia for war games. Countries around the world are lining up to join different superpowers, like the kids on the first day of college. Russia is attempting to rack in the big players like China and India to stand tall against the US and the rest of Europe. Russia is holding a spectacular military exercise that would involve India and China. These are Russia's attempts to show the US that it won't be isolated like that, and it's not easy for the world to avoid Russian staples. Beautiful women and icy plains. Putin has planned week-long Vostok 2022 war games, which will include 5,000 pieces of military equipment, 60 warships, more than 50,000 troops, 140 aircrafts, and more. The war games will also include naval drills in the Sea of Japan. So, in a nutshell, Putin wants to show off his toys with his friends to the guy next door who's always a to him. What's surprising is that even after the US is reminding India about international sanctions on Russia, the land of billionaires and Bollywood actors is still sending a 75-strong military detachment to take part in the Russian drills. China, on the other hand, will gladly join Russia even on a trip to the North Pole because America never leaves a chance to isolate them on any level. These countries are giving off serious sitcom vibes these days. Coming up, South Korea talks about intentions to join the US-led chip alliance. Countries like South Korea and Japan are stuck in the tug-of-war between the US and China. South Korea is currently deciding whether to stand with China to oppose the new CHIP Act or join the US-led semiconductor supply chain. But the country which gave birth to BTS and Blackpink decided to make their national interests a top priority. President Yoon Suk-yeol reportedly informed Washington that it would participate in the preliminary meeting of CHIP 4, but they will continue to closely examine the scenario from the perspective of the national interest. South Korea has admitted that the future of becoming a permanent member of CHIP 4 will depend on the results of the preliminary meeting. Lastly, UN says there are potential crimes against humanity in China's Xinjiang. United Nations' long-standing report on human rights issues against Muslim Uyghurs has finally surfaced and has made some shocking revelations. For starters, the report has confirmed that crimes against humanity have been conducted in China's detention of Muslim ethnic minorities in the northwestern region of Xinjiang. The long-delayed 45-page report from the UN called on Beijing to take immediate action and release anyone who has been deprived of their liberty. They have also demanded to give a full review of its laws regarding discrimination and domestic security, as well as clarify the whereabouts of people whose families have been unable to locate them. That's a wrap for this video. What is your take on the current international political vibe? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.